Alright. See if we can't find the stream. Where's stream at? There it is there. Oh, good. Audio is working. Streams up, chats up, we're all good to go. Alrighty. Double check attendance again. Should be set for 18 apparently. 15 full-timers, 3 reserves. One of which apparently might be promoted to full-time. Get into that later. Hello, Shulz. Just chilling for now. Waiting till everyone gets into the lobby. Hello, Ricky Aldo. Hello. Just waiting patiently. Yeah, I kinda clued into that. Reading through the Discord, it wasn't said explicitly, but I got clues that Mr. Duval is replacing Barmer full-time, which is a shame in many ways, because he's truly a terrific driver. He is unbelievably fast, but I can understand why some people were quite frustrated after Saudi Arabia, particularly Blade. But yeah, I've noticed that as well. Yeah, mindset. I don't think he's joined the lobby yet because Cam doesn't have him as a friend, so it might take a little while to get him into the lobby. But if you say he's quick, willing to believe you. Should be good fun. Watch a new guy give it a go. Yeah, a tight finish. As I said at the time, it probably shouldn't have happened. It's very weird how all the dominoes fell in place to allow that to happen. Hey, yeah, tight 4-car finish. Around the racetrack like Jeddah, it's always entertaining. That's correct, Mr. Red Arrow. Barmer is no longer competing in AM1. A couple of drivers just a bit frustrated with Barmer. So. Some rain, eh? Shulz. I haven't seen a wet weather race here at the newly redesigned Barcelona. Would make things interesting. Especially if in the race it were mixed conditions. Mixed condition races are always interesting. Yeah, as Ricciardo sort of points out. And also, a few drivers just aren't fans of the idea of him sort of starting towards the back in certain races, like choosing to disqualify himself. I don't think the pace was necessarily the issue. I think a lot of drivers just a bit upset about the idea of him dropping to the back of the grid at the start of a race, make his way through. But anyway. Seems that we have everyone in, or at least the majority of everyone in. Ready up signal must have been given. When the timer hits 0, I'll start my intro as per normal. Get this whole show on the road. Hello everyone and welcome to round 2 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're competing at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Constructed all the way back in 1991, Barcelona has been the permanent home for the Spanish GP for over 30 years. Over that time frame, the circuit has changed in several areas, such as the hairpin at turn 10, and in 2007, the introduction of the horrendous, godforsaken chicane in the final sector of the racetrack. The most recent update to the circuit, however, has reverted Barcelona into a form that's near identical to its original design. It measures up at 2.89 miles. It consists of 14 corners and 2 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of turn 1 and turn 10. Higher speed corners provide the main source of challenge here, such as the opening complex of turns 1, 2 and 3, the incredibly fast right-hander of turn 9, as well as the equally fast final turns of 13 and 14 that will provide an entertaining and thrilling end to the lap. With that in mind, qualifying should be fairly fun to watch. Before we touch on that though, there is a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Saudi Arabia. Only one incident report which involved Barmer and Electric Blade, and after deliberation, according to the stewards, the verdict is no further action. So no time penalties were dished out post-race, so the final finishing positions remain as they are. In the Drivers' Championship, Barmer 22 is leading the way on 50 points, but now he has left the AM1 Championship after the events that took place during and after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So I suppose our lead that is still competing is Silkweaver on 30 points, followed by Vermou on 28, then Schulz on 18. In the Teams Championship, it's McLaren leading the way on 50 points, followed by Mercedes on 46, and AlphaTauri completing the top 3 on 38. It's a pretty decent gap back to Red Bull on 15. So definite top 3 forming. Mixed conditions in the race. Well, there you go. Speak it into existence, I did. I'm very proud of myself. I'm sure the drivers just hate me now. Alright, Mr. Mindset is going to be the first driver to attempt a flying lap. Ricciardo's been talking about him, so we might as well ride aboard. Oh, look at that. That's the 4th of July helmet. It's a very nice looking helmet, to be absolutely fair. Alright, we're going to give you a guided tour of this 2.8 mile 14 turn racetrack. We're going to ride on board with Mindset. He'll open DRS, cross the finish line and begin his first flying lap attempt. Down towards turn 1. Entry speed we're going to hit is 203 miles an hour into turn 1. 4th gear, getting back on the power. Heading around turn 2, short shifting up to 5th gear. We'll head around the long right-hand sweeper of turn 3, and this will complete the first sector. Into turn 4, definitely a potential overtaking spot here. Down to 4th gear, down to 3rd as a matter of fact. Back up through the gears, using a little bit of curve at the exit as we head into the hairpin of turn 5. Down to 3rd gear, getting back on the power. Down the hill and around the little kink of turn 6. Into this little technical section, turns 7 and 8. Really easy to get it wrong, as Mindset demonstrates. But he keeps it straight as we head around turn 9. Well, now for Terry, that was close. Just sitting on the racing line there. Mindset heads into turn 10. That was redesigned a few years ago. Up towards turn 11, then turn 12. This long right-hand sweeper. And now down into the final part of the racetrack. Turn 13, absolutely flat. Now into turn 14. Down to 6th gear, keeping it full throttle. Back onto the main straightaway. Mindset will set the benchmark. 1 minute 11.619 is the time for everyone else to try and beat. The Future, making his way down the back straight away, will head into the turn 10 sweeper. Brings it down to third gear, gets back on the power, uses full throttle, so he's evidently using traction control. And he's on the medium compound tyre as well. So it's not set to be a particularly competitive lap for the sake of qualifying. He's just trying to set a benchmark as Kryptonic goes to P2 with a 12.6. The Future sets a 13.7. Yeah, about a second off on the medium compound tyre. That is expected. Perks making his way round the middle sector, heading into turn 7 and 8, climbing the hill up towards turn 9. It's a fantastic corner, turn 9. Just a little lift, tip the front end, and let the aero do all the work all the way round the corner, heading into turn 10. Hunger's jumped up to P2, Badfast P3, so it's pretty tight at the top. Only 2 tenths separating the top two. Perks, 2 corners to go. Love this part of the racetrack. Flat out, down the hill, little lift, back on the power. Awesome final corner. Perks crosses the line, P5, 12.4. Red Devil on the lap, making his way out of turn 12. Down towards the final 2 corners of the racetrack. 7th gear. Keeping it flat the whole way around. That's what you want to see. Red Devil, 12.1, P3. Silkweaver goes slowest of all so far, but that wasn't a proper flying lap. Sadie's has jumped up. That's Schulz in P3 as the Future retires. He's crashed out at pit lane entry. Oh, and Kryptonic's out as well. What's going on? Let's see here. McLaren. Wing it. He's making his way through the final part of the lap. So Badfast, the Future, and Kryptonic are out of qualifying. All 3 of them were bunched up at pit lane entry. They all must have crashed. Yeah, you can see the soft tyre just sitting there at pit lane entry as Wingett crosses the line, does a 13.8. Yeah, I reckon that's exactly what it is. The bump at pit lane entry. It is a ridiculous bump that sits just at the beginning of pit lane entry. You go in just that little bit too fast, it will send you into the pit lane wall on the outside of the corner. And it claimed 3 people. 3. Right off the bat. Alright, so Schulz will go back into pit lane. Silkweaver's just done an 11.8. It's a mere 6 thousandths off Hunger in P2. So nice and tight towards the top. Nortec, not on a flying lap, it seems. Yeah, he's just saving up some battery. Now Saint on outlap as well. Schulz and Silkweaver are on in-lap, so we'll keep our eyes on Nortec for now. Currently Mindset's at the top with an 11.6. No one's beaten the benchmark yet. There goes Silkweaver. He's going back into the pits. He's in battery saving mode. You can tell from the flashing red lights on the back of the car. Nortec, he'll eventually turn on the battery. Someone spun around. It's Zotic. It's turn 4. That's where he's done it. Lost control of the back of the car. No obvious damage on the front of that Alfa Romeo. Alright, Nortec, let's see what you can do. You have to put a lap time on the board. He now begins a flying lap. A proper flying lap. Down towards turn 1. Entry speed here, 200 miles an hour. Brings it down to 95. Gets back on the power and heads around turn 2. Then into the long sweeper of turn 3. Absolutely flat out the whole way round. Up towards the first timing intermediate. 21.8 to the first sector. An obvious improvement as Mercedes probably is Vermeer on an outlap, getting himself ready. As Nortec heads down the hill around the kink at turn 6 and into the chicane of 7 and 8. Down to 3rd gear, gets back on the power, 4th gear, 5th gear, heading up the hill and around the fast right-hander of turn 9. Doesn't use the full width of the racetrack there. We now head around turn 10, 2nd gear, back on the power. Up towards turn 12, 5th gear, back down to 4th, down to 3rd. Short shift? No, uses all of third gear. Round turn 13, one corner left. Turn 14, chucks it in. Gets around nice and smoothly. Up towards the line for Nortec. That is P9. He jumps into the top 10 with a 12.4. Zotic yet to put down a lap time. He's used all of his battery though. Gee whiz. Vermoo, meanwhile, making his way into the opening chicane. He's in the Hamilton mobile, as you can see. Around turn 3 he goes. Flat out, all the way round, hugging the inside line. As Saint goes back into pit lane. So evidently he wasn't too happy with his flying lap. Just goes back into the pits. Put on another set of tyres, getting ready for the final part of qualifying. Down the hill into the turn 7 and 8 complex. Fourth gear modulating the throttle well. Jumping over the curb though. Big oopsie through turn 8 and it costs him. He's invalidated this flying lap, so it will not count. Red Devil making his way through the opening chicane. Around the long sweeper at turn 3. Up towards the first timing intermediate. Devil improves by 0.08 of a second. Oh, and around again, that is Zotic. Stranded on the racing line. Gets going again. Gets out of the way of the incoming McLaren. That is Wingett, who is on a lap himself. Secure the Perks has gone to P5. He's done a 12.0. As Wingett heads up the hill, out of turn 8 and towards turn 9. Nice curb cam there. Onto the back straightaway. That's a more typical racing line you tend to see. There is a Ferrari in front. They get well out of the way. That's well done there. Red Devil, meanwhile, he's up by 1/10 of a second as he heads around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. He'll improve to P2 with an 11.808. Still, little under 0.2 of a second off Mindset, who still holds provisional pole position. Down the hill and around the final corner. Onto the main straightaway. Mindset will improve by a fair chunk as well. 1 minute 11.284. He's ahead by half a second to Red Devil in P2. Hunger in the Alfa Romeo making his way into turn 5. Down to 4th, down to 3rd gear. Back on the power. As he heads down the hill. Round turn 6 and into turn 7 and 8. He's down to 5th gear. Back on the power. Keeping his wheels off that huge sausage curb on the inside of turn 8. It really does unsettle the car. As he heads up towards the middle sector split, the clock says he's down by a little over 1/10 of a second. Electric Blade, he's on an in-lap. Schulz on a flyer. Down the hill, around turn 6. Into the complex of 7 and 8. Short shifting from 3rd up to 4th gear very quickly there. At the apex at turn 7. Onto the back straightaway. Up towards the middle sector split. Clock says he's up by a very nice 69 thousandths of a second. That's not funny. That's not funny. Mr. Duval, he's making his way back into pit lane. He's currently P6 with an 11.9. Schulz, 2 corners to go, 13 and 14. 7th gear, little lift down to 6th gear. Back up to 7th, DRS open, crossing the line, P3. 1 minute 11.872. Less than 1/10 off Red Devil in P2. Saint making his way round turn 12. Towards turns 13 and 14. Flat out here, down the hill. 7th gear. Back down to 6, back up to 7th. Opens DRS, crosses the line. It's an 11.3, only a few hundredths off Mindset. What can Vermoo do? He's out of turn 4, heading into the hairpin at turn 5. 3rd gear, back on the power. 4th gear, 5th gear, up into 6th. 7th gear, back down to 4th for turn 7. On the power through turn 8. Up the hill and around turn 9. Absolutely flat out here. Opens DRS and heads towards turn 10. 8th gear. Back down to 4th. Clips the apex. Back on the power. Round turn 11. Into 12. Down to 4th gear. On the power again. Eventually reaching full throttle. flat out round turn 13, down the hill into turn 14, the final corner, down to 6th gear, onto the main straightaway. Vermeulen will cross the line to set an 11.236. He goes half a tenth faster than Mindset and takes provisional pole position. Schulz going back into pit lane. Nortec on a lap. Into turn 7 and turn 8. Up the hill and around 9. Absolutely flat out the whole way round. You're right on the edge of grip through that section. Quite exhilarating as he's only down by 5 thousandths of a second, so he's looking to improve if he can just string together a nice and tidy final sector. Will he complete this lap? He's going to. 7th gear, back down to 6. Back up to 7th gear. Crosses the line. He improves by a tenth and a half. P11 for Nortec. Wing it out on track with 3.5 minutes left in qualifying. Fairly tight at the moment. Top 10 separated by, what, 8.5 tenths of a second? That's not too bad. And we've still got the final runs to come. Be interesting to see what kind of times the leaders can push to. Doing alright at the moment, Mr. Duval. P9. Not too bad. And considering, look at this. So, yourself, P9, 11.9. If you improve, let's say by a tenth and a half, you jump to 4th. So, it's quite tight in that midfield pack. And then you got the defiant top 3 with Vermeulen, Mindset, and Saint. So, it's not a bad position to be in. Knowing that one perfect lap strung together, and you vault up 5 positions. There you go. There's your goal. Improve by a tenth and a half. See if you can find it. You know, position doesn't look massively great, but considering how tight the pack is, you can vault up the leaderboards quite a lot with one really good lap. Alright, Blade, let's see what you can do. Heading down the hill into the final corner, 170 miles an hour, apex speed of about 154 miles an hour. The G-forces the real-life drivers have to put up with there is astonishing. Into 1 and 2, 4th gear, back on the power. Just using a little bit of that inside curb through 2. Around the long sweeper of turn 3. Heading up towards the first sector split, does Blade improve? The answer is no. He's down, but not by much, by 38 thousandths of a second. Down into the hairpin at turn 5, 3rd gear the whole way round, as he heads towards the complex of turn 7 and 8. Back down to 4th gear, clipping the curb on the inside, heading round turn 8. That was very tidy there from Blade. Round the long sweeper of turn 9 and onto the back straightaway. Meanwhile, Wingett is on a lap. He's the first driver to finish what probably will be their final flying lap attempt. And he stays P14, 12.8, improves by 0.2 of a second. Electric Blade still down, but if he nails this final sector, should be able to improve. And he does not. He's pretty damn close to matching his PB, though, missing out by only 18 thousandths of a second. So evidently, Blade couldn't find much time on his PB. That's the limit for him around this circuit. Schulz up towards the first sector split is up by 51 thousandths of a second as he loses it at 4 and puts it into the barrier. Well, here comes his teammate, Vermeulen. We head around turn 4. 4th gear, eventually reaching full throttle. There is the stricken Schulz. He is currently P5 on 11.872. The only thing he can do now is pray that he stays in that position as Vermeulen is wiggling his way around turn 8 and now into turn 9. Absolutely flat out there as he heads onto the back straight away. He's down now by 57,000, so evidently not the best of middle sectors for the provisional pole sitter. Mindset, he's done. It seems he is done. He will not challenge for pole, so it's down to Saint. There's a McLaren spinning in the background. That must be Mr. Duval. Losing control of the car. Vermeulen does not improve. So that's the benchmark. An 11 point... Oh, and Saint's thrown it away. In the middle of the lap, just before turn 9. His qualifying session is done. Red Devil is up by 1/10 of a second as he heads around the final corner. Back onto the main straightaway. He does an 11.6. He is P4. He's got a bit of a margin to those behind too. As Hunger jumps to P5. Duval will go back into pit lane. And I think, folks, that might be quality over. Zotic crosses the line. He does not improve. There we are. Vermeulen's lap was enough for pole position. Not much separating the top 2. Not much separating the top 3. A nice tight qualifying, as you'd expect around a racetrack like this. And it's Vermeulen who will start from the very front of it. Just be waiting on everyone to either get back into their garage or retire from the session, either or. But there we are. Fairly dramatic end to qualifying. A lot of the top drivers unable to string together their best laps right at the end of qualifying. Both Mindset made a mistake I didn't pick up on. Saint, he lost it at turn 7. Vermeulen had a fairly scruffy middle sector where he lost time. So yeah, top 3 were pushing hard, just pushing a bit too hard. So there we are. Less than a 10 separating the top 3 at the end of qualifying. It's Vermeulen on top. Mindset P2, followed by Saint in P3. Then we have Red Devil, Hunger in P5. Then Schulz P6. Silkweaver 7th. Then we have Blade 8th. Duval 9th. Perk rounds out the top 10. You have Nortec P11, followed by Bad Fuss. Cam Tizzle. Kryptonic crashing out of qualifying with an incident at pit lane entry. Wingett down in P15. The Future, if I recall correctly, was involved in that as well as one other driver. It was Bad Fast. Bad Fast, Kryptonic, The Future crashing out at pit lane entry during the beginning stages of qualifying. Alright. Memory serves me right. People said that it was going to be mixed conditions during the race, which is definitely going to make things incredibly interesting. Yep. Definitely intermediate conditions. There's no huge puddles of water in pit lane that usually suggests heavy rain conditions. So, yeah, this should be fun. And if it dries up, makes the race that much more interesting in regards to strategy. But for now, in these intermediate conditions, it's all about survival. If you can gain a few places at the start, then thumbs up, that's great. But the main objective is surviving. Just trying to get through the wet weather stuff, get into the dry conditions, see if you can pick up a few more places from there. Now, drivers might be tempted as well to try and drop the fuel load because they won't be using as much fuel in these wet weather conditions. And of course, a lighter car drastically improves performance. So, there's a few things the drivers can do. Just play around with. Formation lap is on. Alright. Drivers need to make sure they don't hit one another because apparently the disqualification glitch is still very much a thing with the formation lap. But so long as everyone drives sensibly, it should be okay. Don't need to yeah, there we go. A couple of drivers disqualified right off the bat. Devil and Hunger in P4 and 5. Yeah. But yeah, everyone should be on the inters. Everyone's on the inters, so. Alright. Drivers just need to not do what Devil and Hunger did. And make sure their tyres are nice and warm. And the neat thing is with this game, you don't have to weave about to do it. You just have to ride the brake. See if I can bring up telemetry to see if anyone's doing it. There you go, Vermeulen. Perfect example. So he's riding the brake. He's full throttle riding the brake. The temperature created from the brakes heats up the carcass of the tyre. And it heats it up quite a lot. So you don't need to weave about. and wear your tyres out, just ride the brake. And all that temperature from the brakes goes straight into the carcass of the tyre. Yeah. Get rid of the telemetry for now. Yeah, should be about it. The moon making his way through the final part of the track now. You're right on the edge of grip in the dry around Barcelona now, pretty much everywhere. So in the wet weather conditions, in these wet weather conditions, this is probably going to be chaotic. And there's another one. Blade's been disqualified. So yeah, people getting random DSQs. It's apparently a thing, and I think that there's another one. Drips. Did he actually overshoot? Yeah, he overshot his grid box, so that's why he got a DSQ. I think that was a legit one. Nortec disqualified, probably missing his grid box. Lap 11, you reckon? Alright. Keep that in the memory bank, lap 11. All 17 cars are lined up ready to run. We got 33 laps in front of us. 10 red lights. And we're underway here at Barcelona. It's a nice start from Vermeulen. It's a nice start from Saint as well as we head down the hill towards turn 1. Silkweaver making up a place or two at the start. Mindset is in P2. Too wide action as we go through turn 1. We head around turn 2. A big wiggle from Mindset. Keeps control of the car though. Does a massively good job keeping that car straight in these conditions. Too wide action through turn 3 as we head up towards 4. Silkweaver looking down the inside of Red Devil. Can he make that move stick as we head towards turn 5? He's got drive, he's got traction. He doesn't have the inside line though. Red Devil knows it, so he's putting up a fight as we exit the hairpin now. Head down the hill towards the kink of turn 6 and towards turn 7. Devil gives in. Lets Silkweaver in front. The AlphaTauri wins that battle. He moves into 4th. Schulz in P607, followed by Blade, Duval and Nortec changing places through turn 9. It's tight stuff here in the midfield as we head towards turn 10. Schulz gets by Hunger and Hunger fights back. So the Mercedes and Alfa Romeo dueling it out for P6. Alfa right round the outside. He should have the grip. Not quite. Schulz able to hang on. Oh, one of the Aramco boards was destroyed as Nortec lost control at turn 13. I saw that Alpine completely sideways. It was definitely not facing straight. Lap 1 completed. Minimal drama. Really good stuff. Schulz moves back down to P7. Alfa Romeo moves back in front. Interval's a bit wonky at the moment, so that's not giving me a whole heap of useful information. But no, I'm quite impressed. Everyone has driven quite sensibly on that opening lap. Hopefully they can keep that up during this wet weather period. Blade trying to find a way around Schulz. There's Badfuss just behind. He's had a pretty tidy start. Look at that, up 3 positions. Silkweaver up 3 as well. The Future up 2. Kryptonic up 1. Cam's had the worst start at it. Anyone, and it's not terrible. It's only down 3. And he's still on the back of that train. Can't say the same for Zotic, though. 31 seconds behind. He must have found trouble on that opening lap. Or Duval, Nortec. With dicey here as we head around turn 10. Up towards turn 11 and into turn 12. Nortec unable to find a way by just yet. Oh, he had a bit of an oopsie there at turn 12. He lost time and another oopsie at 13. Thankfully, though, he keeps the car straight. Meanwhile, behind Secure the Perks is in trouble. He's got Kryptonic all over his gearbox as we head down towards turn 1. Does Kryptonic have enough straight line speed? I believe the answer is no. That AlphaTauri pretty quick down the main straightaway. Head through turn 2. Up and around turn 3, Hunger closing in on Red Devil as we head up towards turn 4. Down the inside, he looks, can't commit to the move. Yellows are out. It's Mr. Duval. Around at turn 3, gets pointed back in the right direction. He's lost a considerable amount of time though. Just needs to keep surviving. That's the best thing he can do right now. Silkweaver gets in front of Saint, so he's on to the podium. Been a very, very tidy start from Silkweaver. His next target will be Mindset in the Haas. Down the back straight away towards turn 10. Leaders fairly well spread out. Can't say the same for the midfield though. It's pretty tightly packed. Be difficult to make moves though in these conditions. It rewards the brave, but it punishes the is it miscalculated or uncalculated? But it punishes those who make slight mistakes. But if you're committed and you get it absolutely right, you can be rewarded quite healthily in these conditions. Miscalculate. I thought it was. English is a funny language. A lot of prefixes and suffixes to try and learn. Side by side through turn 3, up towards turn 4. Blade in front, Shills in the middle, bad fast at the back. So a nice little battle here for P7, 8 and 9. There's a battle for P5 just in front as well. So it's a nice little battle packs here for me as Mr. Duval pits. So evidently with that mistake at turn 3, he got damage. So he's into pit lane. He's getting a new set of tyres on. Probably a new front wing as well. Rejoin down in 17th position. My point still stands though. The best thing he can do is just keep running, keep surviving. Not make a mistake. As Perks tumbles down the order, down to P14. Here comes the future. Goes right round the outside of him. So Perks with a mistake at turn 7 and turn 8. Drops down several positions down to P15. Cam trying to close in on Wing It here. 4-10 separating these two. And we got this 3-car fight for 7th with Blade, Shills and Bad Fast. And they've actually caught on to the back of both Red Devil and Hunger. So got a neat little midfield train forming. Down towards turn 1. The Alpha not quite close enough to send it here at turn 1. So you stay behind. Round turn 3. Oh, look at the grip. Had a lot of grip at the entry to the corner. Red Devil was able to counter that with a decent run out of turn 3. But the entry speed the Alpha was able to carry there at turn 3 was mega. Oh, and again, new touch up. Oh, hello, Blade. He overshoots turn 5. Runs wide to try and avoid contact. Loses half a second or so. Still very, very much in this fight. And now Saints dropping back to this. So the train's growing. Around the sweeper at turn 10. Up towards turn 11. Red Devil only 8.5 tenths behind. Oh, and that's going to shrink with Saints' mistake there. Shrinks to half a second as we go around the final turn. Vermoo out in front, still leading. He's got 4.5 seconds in hand to Mindset in P2 with Silkweaver P3. Saint in P4 now has a whole horde of cars right behind him, heading down into turn 1. Out of turn 2. Around turn 3. Saint, it's a neat little sight in front of him. He's got a target to try and chase down. What he can't do is look behind, because there's quite a few cars trying to hunt him down. Down into turn number... Oh, 5! Gee whiz! He locked up the rears, got the thing sideways. A fantastic catch, though. Save that thing from spinning out, but he's lost time again. That car's real loose. It is really, really loose at the moment. Maybe his brake bias is a bit too far rearward. Maybe needs to push it forward. We'll get down the inside here. Into turn 10. Side by side. Oh, it's tight. It's tight. The Alpha gets in front. The Williams has the inside line. Blade's watching the show from P7. We head around turn 13, down the hill into turn 14. Contact between those two. And somehow they keep it on the racetrack. Down the main straightaway we go. Blade wants to try and capitalise. He's trying to draw alongside Devil. It's not working. The Williams is a bullet train on the straightaways. Round the outside at 1. By the rain. The rain has stopped. All contact. Devil almost loses it. A great save there from the Williams driver. Oh, but a collision between him and Badfast almost results in an accident. Gee whiz. How have we not had an accident? We've had 3 or 4 occasions where we probably should have had an accident, but we've had 0. Somehow they've been able to keep it on the racetrack. Credit to them for being able to do that, but gee whiz, just one little twitch away from putting it into the barrier. Alright. How long will it take for this track to dry up? See, this game is a bit inconsistent when it comes to the drying up process. Sometimes it can be fairly instantaneous. It will take 1, maybe 2 laps for the whole track to dry up, just like that. Sometimes it can take the entirety of the rest of the race. I've experienced this firsthand. So, yeah, it's up to the game, and the drivers, they're given no information, really, on how quickly the track's drying up. Because Mark is completely useless in this game. Just like Jeff before him. Blade up into P5. Hunger unable to fight back. The only clear indication you really get of when the slick tyres are the preferred tyre is when race control declares DRS to be enabled. That's about it. But even then, sometimes the intermediate tyres still work pretty well in those conditions. Oh, Zotic retires. That's a safety car. So he hasn't done that voluntarily in the pits. He's actually crashed at the final corner. Alright, this is a bit of a game changer because the rain has stopped. Do you pit for slicks? I mean, surely you'd have to. You absolutely have to pit for slicks. In comes Vermoo. Alright. Mindset. Silkweaver. Saint. Alright. Everyone's coming in. Except for Schulz. Red Devil stays out. Badfast stays out. Nortec stays out. Kryptonic. Wing It. Cam's in. We got a split. I thought everyone would be coming in, but no. It's not everybody. The majority of people are pitted onto a set of hard tyres. That's a new set of inters. Alright, that's a bit left field. I really don't understand that decision at all. I mean, why bother pitting? Those 8-lap inters aren't going to be much better. Or much worse compared to fresh inters. I mean, let's ride on board. Okay, so there's no spray coming off the tyres. That's one indication you can use. But you can still look around the racetrack. It is shiny. It is seriously shiny. So there's still a lot of moisture on the racetrack. Now, we're going to spend 2 laps behind the safety car. So that's 2 extra laps of track evolution. Oh, gee whiz, Cam, sideways. That's 2 extra laps of track evolution that will take place. Now let's say it remains intermediate for a few extra laps after the safety car pulls in. Those intermediate runners need to be ahead, what, 18, 19 seconds? Maybe more now because the chicane is gone. So, yeah. In order for them to hold on to the track position that they've got. You can still see it's very shiny. Very shiny on the curbs, even on the racing line. Like there's a dry line forming, and in comes somebody. That's Blade. He's back in. So why is he coming in? Did he get damaged? No, this is just a new set of... Oh, he got a speeding penalty. Ah, okay. That makes sense. So new set of slicks. Still a lot of moisture in the pit lane. A lot of moisture. Very moist Barcelona at the moment. So the top 6, they're all on used intermediate tyres that they started on. We have got 8 drivers on mediums, 1 Lonely Saint on hard tyres, and 1 Cam Tizzle on fresh intermediates. I'm still trying to work out why you would just pit for fresh inters. I mean, they won't give a massive pace advantage. I would have just taken the track position from staying out. That's right. Half of the field is set to gain, half of the field is set to lose out. It's just a matter of which half. We might be doing another lap because Mr. Duval not having fun. Look, alright, this will give us a decent indication. Now, obviously Mr. Duval isn't pushing 110%, but this will give us an idea. We'll bring up telemetry as well. To think we're doing a hot lap during a safety car. This is a new one for me. Right, around turn 9, you can, yeah, huge lifting. Schulz is in. Same with Red Devil, Bad Fast, Nortec, Kryptonic. They're all in. All that track position, whoop, out of the window. Cam's even in. Alright, so evidently the track's drying up enough. So I'm looking here at Mr. Duval. It's not easy out there. It's not easy. Look at it. It's all shiny. All very shiny. Oh, hello. He gets by Cam and he'll slot in behind his teammate. Okay, the track looks a bit drier now. It doesn't look as shiny. A bit more abrasive now. There we go. Evidently, Mark must have told all of them, right, it's now time for slicks. Get on them. They've all followed. Red Devil on the hard tyres as well. Very well. Crossover point. Oh, kept getting Delta. Really? You shouldn't be getting Delta because the safety car's out. Good to know this game is still busted as buggery. Safety car's in this lap. Alright, Vermouth's the leader. He'll control the field. We'll get rid of the telemetry for now. We'll get rid of the tyres for at least a bit, just to increase the, viewing space. I hope one day... I mean, look at all this... Look at all of that, how much it clutters up. I hope they get rid of this. Or at least give the spectator the opportunity to at least customise the OSD. Make things a bit smaller, maybe? Alright, Vermouth. He takes off. How much grip is there going to be? Is there enough to keep the cars on the black stuff? Here we go. We're back on the green flag conditions here at Barcelona. Vermouth, our leader, has a 3/10 margin to Mindset in P2. Then we have Silkweaver trying to hunt down the Haas in P3. We head around the long sweeper at turn 3. Up towards turn 4. Cars look pretty good, so evidently, yep, this is right at the crossover point. The slick tyres are operating pretty well. Still isn't perfect, not by a long shot, but it's good enough. Round the hairpin at turn 5. Once again, we've got a tight midfield scrap. Blade has a little moment exiting the hairpin. Round turn 7. Round turn 8. Up the hill and towards turn 9. Nice curb cam there. Awesome shot. Down the inside, doesn't fully commit to the move. Blade down the inside, he commits to the move. Side by side between himself and Perks. As now Schulz wants to try and get involved. Head around turn 12. Meanwhile, Saint and Hunger battling it out for P4. 0.2 of a second separating these two. Running wide is the Future down in P6. Vanu leading the way. 9/10 in hand now to Mindset. Saint in trouble. He's got an Alfa Romeo all over him. Looking down the inside here at turn 1. Doesn't fully commit to the move. Just slots back in behind Saint. Blade hanging on to P7. There's Perks. There's Schulz. Red Devil just behind as well. Same with Bad Fast. Changing position. Down the inside goes Silkweaver here at turn 4. Yellow's out. It's Nortec in the Alpine. He's around at turn 3. He gets pointed back in the right direction. No obvious damage on his car. At least on the front right of that car. Look at that. 2.6 seconds. Vermu is taking off. Silkweaver holding on to second position. Mindset 3.5 tenths behind. Saint just behind as well. Same with Hunger. The Future 1 second off. Need to try and get within that 1 second range. Because on the next lap, DRS is going to be enabled. A moment there from Weaver. Losing control at turn 12. Lost time to Mindset. There might be a change here. Change in position. Mindset in the slipstream. Closing the gap. To the inside. Weaver doesn't cover. And Mindset moves back through into second position. DRS should be enabled. Up towards turn 4. Can Silkweaver try and counter? No. Too far back. Too far back. Saint now back in the fray. Closing in on the AlphaTauri. Oh! Hunger almost going into the back of that Red Bull. Very, very close. Oh, as the Future gets a time penalty for multiple warnings. He now has Blade all over him. Up the hill. Round turn 8. Up towards turn 9. I can put on tyres. See everyone on the medium tyre except for Saint and Red Devil. Blade going round the outside here at turn 10. Got the grip and he's forced out wide, almost into the gravel, as a matter of fact. Perks closing in, Schulz closing in on this battle as well. As we head down the hill, round turn 13, down towards the final corner. Back onto the main straight away. DRS wide open on Blade's car. To the inside. He gets the Future pretty easily there. Perks closes in, but not by enough to try and attack into turn 1. Stays behind. We head around the sweeper at turn 3. Future won't be able to do much to try and counter-attack here into turn 4. Just needs to try and chip away at that gap and keep the battle alive between himself and Blade. Blade, if he can, needs to get his head down and try and catch up to the guys in front, get involved in that battle for P2 on track. Here in the midfield though, look at this. Tight stuff. Red Devil on the hard compound tyre, on the freshest hards of anyone except for Mr. Duval. He went back into pit lane, so evidently he found trouble just after the safety car restart. So Red Devil doing alright, surrounded by a whole bunch of people on a quicker compound. Same can be said of Saint in P4. I'm actually quite curious to see how both of them fare. Down this long main straightaway. Saint's making a move. He's done it at turn 1. He's on to the podium places. He's in third. Silkweaver is too far behind, and he's low on battery as well. So he won't attack here into turn 4. But Saint doing a really good job on those hard compound tyres. They're doing well. I'm curious. Can those hards make it to the end of the race? Not sure if the mediums can. Really not sure that the mediums can. I suppose we'll find out. And who knows, there might be another safety car period that changes things up once again when it comes to strategy. Electric Blade, unable to close in on the top 5. Still has the future right behind. Secure the perks. 8/10 behind, staying within that 1 second range as Mindset gets a 3 second time penalty for multiple warnings. Vermouth's out there setting fastest laps. It's beaten by a few other drivers on that lap. Saint with a 14.7. Down towards turn 1. Blade in the future, low on battery. Future very close to the back of Blade's car. Gee whiz. He was but a few inches away from making contact. Down towards turn 4. Still not close enough. Not quite close enough to do anything from this position. Round the hairpin at turn 5. Down the hill now towards turn 6. Through 7. Through 8. Future needs a pretty solid run here through 9. He's got it. He should be able to keep Perks at bay. He does. Perks, he's looking aggressive though. Weaving about, trying to fill the mirrors on Future's car. Telling him, I'm right here, mate, and I'm ready to try and pass. Down the hill, round the final corner, and back onto the main straightaway. Oh, gee whiz, that was Red Devil. Used all of the curb on the outside of the final corner. Here comes Perks. He's got the straight line speed to pass 2 cars into 1, but he overshoots the opening corner. Has to cut through turn 2. He rejoins safely at 3. And he's going to lose a place here. Oh, tight stuff between himself and Schulz. Schulz moves in front into P8. My word. Perks had all of the straight line speed in the world heading towards turn 1. Just no brakes. Car couldn't pull itself up at turn 1. And he ended up losing a position rather than gaining 2. Saint closing in on Mindset. Not by enough though here into turn 10 to try and attack. There's Hunger just behind in the Alpha. Shadowing Weaver. Around the final 2 corners, 13 and 14. Saint loses time. You could tell from that line he took through the final corner. He had huge understeer, but with the help of DRS, he's going to try and pass Mindset, and he'll do so successfully. He moves into second. Meanwhile behind, look at this. 3 wide into turn 1. Schulz passes the pair of them and moves into P6. A nice move as we head around turn 3. The Blade, he is the Blade. Electric Blade. Oh, following the Future through turn 4. The Future overcooked it massively into turn 4, but thankfully Blade was a bit too far behind to try and capitalise on that. Look at that, 5-car train just hovering behind Perks, Devil, Bad Fast, Cryptonic, and Cam Tizzle. Winged isn't too far behind either. Hunger, 2 tenths, 3 tenths behind. I reckon we might see a change for P4 here. Down the hill. Round the final corner and onto the main straightaway. Might see 2 passes here. Hunger moves through into 4th place. Here comes Mindset. Back through and into 2nd position. Through turn 2. And around turn 3. This is going to be a back and forth ding-dong battle between these guys. Although Hunger's back within a second of the 2 drivers in front. That's what cost Silkweaver. He was over a second behind and he didn't have DRS to try and defend from the Alfa Romeo. Hunger's done himself a favour. He's half a second behind Saint, so he's in this fight. And so long as Silkweaver can stay within a second of the Alfa Romeo in front, he keeps himself in this battle too. So neato little scrap here for second position. Schul's now leading this train, the Future and Blade behind. It is pretty tight train from P6 all the way down to P13. Make their way out of turn 12 down towards the final two corners. Mindset gets another time penalty. He now has 6 seconds next to his name. Saint closing in, darts to the inside, and he retakes second position down at turn 1. Schulz, similar fate to Mindset, moves down to P7. The Future is back up into P6. Blade closing in. Not by enough to attack though. Mindset and Saint side by side. Mindset went right round the outside there at turn 5. He's back into P2. Round turn 7. Round turn 8. Up the hill towards turn 9. Saint won't be able to do much through here. Just use DRS. Close the gap a little bit. Minimise time loss through the final sector and send it down the main straightaway. That's about all he can do. Look at this train. Huge train. Kryptonic under pressure from Cam here. Down the inside goes the Ferrari. Kryptonic a bit wide there through turn 11, but he has the inside line through 12. Cam knows it and gives him room. It's tight at the exit. The Ferrari gets in front. Cam moves into P12. Very respectful battle between these two. Big understeer there from Kryptonic. He loses time. Loses the opportunity to try and retake 12th position. Schulz gets in front of the Future. Blade tries to follow down the inside at turn 1. As we head into turn 2, Blade fires it round the outside. That gives him the inside line at 3. So he's able to hang on to P7. Secured the perks just behind him, P9, watching the show. You'd be hopeful to try and find a way through. It's very difficult, though, when you're in the middle of a DRS train, to try and find your way through. It's very, very tough. Because there's no advantage to getting DRS at all in the middle of the train. You also get a whole heap of dirty air from the cars in front. So you're not really gaining in the corners either. Big understeer from Cam. He used all of the curb at the exit of turn 9. Back up here. Mindset's got a bit of a margin going to Saint. Saint's still within 1 second though, so it's not too bad just yet. And he's going to gain a fair chunk of time down this straightaway. Oh, what's happened here? We've got a few drivers in. Alright, so the Future's in. Oh, and he's backed up Perks. He broke incredibly early for the pit lane entry. Perks almost went into the back of him. Soft tyres. The Future will go to the end on those. Same with Perks. But look how much time they lose because of that. So much time. Mr. Duval will pass the pair of them? No, just one of them. Oh, around the outside. Down the inside. Almost making contact. Oh. Yeah. Glitchy audio. Codemasters certified glitchy audio. They never get their audio right, Codemasters. Oh my word! Wheel-to-wheel contact there at the exit of turn 4. Almost ended in disaster. Gee whiz. But yeah, certified glitchy audio presented by Codemasters. Enjoy. Oh. Down the main straightaway we go. Blah. Okay, so Duval's been passed, so Secure the Perks is into 15th position. Meanwhile, battling on here. Electric Blade moves into P6. Bad Fast gets by Red Devil. That is for P8. Cam Tizzle's on the back of this as we head around turn 3 and up towards turn 4. Cam Not close enough to do anything here into the right-hand sweeper. Head around turn 5 and down the hill towards turn 6. Saint closing in on mindset. Down the back straight away. He darts left and right. Can't fully commit to a move though. Didn't have enough momentum. Try and make that stick. He stays behind in P3. Oh, he has a wiggle. Here comes Hunger and he moves through. Saint all over the place there through turn 12. Costs himself a place. Might cost himself 2. Silkweaver's closing in as we head on to the main straightaway to begin lap 25 of 33. Still got a few laps to go. Saint moves back through into 3rd position. Silkweaver's close, but not close enough. Kryptonic's into the pit, so he'll move on to a set of softs. Go to the end of the race on those. Oh. Hello, Cam Red. Oh! Into the wall! A humongous shunt involving Devil and Tezzle. Cam's out of the race. Safety car has been deployed. Oh, can you believe it? Drama right towards the death of the race. Our second retirement causing our second safety car. Oh my word. Well, everyone's pitting for softs. Everyone. Every single driver, except for maybe the 3 drivers that are on softs already, everyone's pitting for softs. Why? Because you kind of have to. The amount of pace that the soft tyre will have is just so much better. As Honga's given a 3-second time, he stays out. Or maybe not, maybe actually overshot the pit lane entry. He was forced to cut the corner, and as a result he got a 3-second time penalty. That's my guess of what happened to him. I think he overshot pit lane entry. Because yet you have to pit. There is no gain whatsoever to staying out on mediums or hards. 5 seconds for Red Devil. Just to compound issues for him. Oh, hello McLaren. How do you do? And he won't serve it here either. Front wing change. New wing on. Mr. Duval's given a penalty as well for speeding. Kryptonic stays out. That makes sense. Because his tyres are still pretty fresh. So there's, you know, there's no gain. There's no loss, really, staying out. But this poor fellow, 17 lap old mediums, I reckon he overshot pit entry. That's why he got the 3-second time penalty. He went into the pits, probably got screwed over by the bump at pit lane entry. Was forced to cut the grass to avoid hitting the barrier on the outside. He ended up getting a 3-second. Now, if he stays out, he can try and fight for the track position he's got right now. But he's going to sink down through the order like a stone in water. Or he can bite the bullet, pit in, put on fresh tyres, and send it. Try and get as many positions back as possible with the laps remaining. What does he do? In or out? In is his call. Pulls it up. Doesn't want to get a speeding penalty. It's smart. He should come out behind Nortec, I think. Set of mediums. Still in pit lane, still transiting through, and now he's out, so he is indeed behind Nortec. Down in P12. Oof. Mr. Duval is the only driver who isn't on soft tyres. He's on a set of mediums. I think that's because he's used all the other tyres he has available to him, so I'm guessing he's pretty much stuck on those mediums. That's okay. Alright, so it's all pretty straightforward now, folks. Everyone's on the softs minus Duval. So the main talking point will be the penalties. Mr. Duval with 8, the Future and Hunger here with 3. Red Devil with 5, he got that because he sped into pit lane. Then we have Mindset here. 6 seconds worth of penalties as the safety car is in this lap. Every set, all of the sets that Pirelli have ever made, he has used them. That's the only ones left. Best of luck, everyone. Don't do anything stupid, please. I want a fun end to this race, but I don't want to see someone binning it into the barrier. Vermoo weaving about, getting ready. There we go. Up through the gears, around the final corner, and back onto the main straightaway. It's lap 28 of 33. We have 6 laps to go. Mindset needs to do the best he can here. These need to be 6 pretty good laps to try and hang on to any sort of decent track position, because those 6 seconds worth of penalties, it's going to hurt him in the long run. Saint. Look at him go, looking down the inside here, heading into turn 4. Oh, Mindset swooping around the outside, holding the racing line. He holds on to second. Silkweaver just behind. Then we have Blade and Schulz. Bad Fast and P7. Wing at P8, followed by Kryptonic, then Red Devil. Hunger's on the attack, and he's not going to muck around either. Oh, the audio is terrible. Can you find that's better? Gee whiz. Codemasters, I swear to Christ. Down the inside. Kryptonic didn't fully commit to that. He's compromised a bit here. Red Devil closing in. We head around turn 12 and up towards the final 2 corners. Down the hill. Bad Fast with a 3-second time penalty. That's his first of the race. Down the main straightaway. Look at these guys. It's tight. Weaving about. Wing it trying to hang on to that 8th position. Kryptonic looking around the outside. Can't quite outbrake the McLaren. Has the inside line though through turn 2. Both balked each other. This allows Hunger and Red Devil to close in. Up towards turn 4. Red Devil looking around the outside of Kryptonic. Hunger now draws alongside. Look at the traction the Alpha has. He fires it around the outside. Devil tries to hold the inside line. It's tight stuff. A big wiggle from Duval. Great catch though to keep that thing on the racetrack. Up the hill towards turn 9. Wing it. Kryptonic. 4-10 separating those two. No DRS available just yet. Down the inside goes Hunger. He needs to outbrake Devil here. He can't do it. Gets decent traction though mid-corner. Gets the car in front, but he doesn't have the inside line. Devil fights back. Great side-by-side action as they head down into 13. Devil hangs on. We got this stuff in front too. Bad Fast closing in on Schulz. He draws alongside and passes the Merc down the main straightaway into P6. Not quite over yet towards the front of the field either. Vermoo is only half a second in front. Meanwhile, oh, the Future's out. The Future has retired in pit lane. I don't know why you would retire at this point. Might as well keep going. You never know. Something big might happen. Everyone's still fairly bunched up. What's happened here? Hunger's left the session. And these two were lagging through each other. What on earth happened there? The Hunger, yeah, that's an AI. That's an AI for sure. You can tell from the steering movement. That's it for him. He will not finish in the points. What a shame. He was running up in the top 5 all race. Unfortunately, one mistake and one DC later, and he's all the way at the back. But yeah, with how tightly spread the field is, one accident could involve several cars. You might find yourself back in the points. You never know. 3 laps to go here at Barcelona. Vermoo, our race leader, moves to the inside of the track. Try and keep Mindset at bay. Saints following the Haas as best he can. Bad Fast gets by Blade. Kryptonic getting by Red Devil and Wing It. He moves into P8. A lot of shuffling up and down the field. Hunger rejoins. Won't be able to get anything more than P14 unless something big happens. Here are your leaders. Vermoo has had a fairly straightforward race up until this point. He's been driving quite well. Winger gets by Red Devil. That's for P9. So we head up the hill. Head around turn 9. 6/10 is the margin between the top two. Saint 3/10 behind Mindset. He looks to the inside. Can't find a way through. Yellow's out. Yellows are indeed out. Wingett's off the track. So is Red Devil. Rejoins down in P12. There's debris. I did see a piece of debris. It's Mr. Duval. He's missing a front wing on that McLaren. Game over for the McLaren driver, it would seem. 2 laps to go. Vermouth still in front. Saint now moves into second. Now, Mindset, he won't be able to challenge for a win thanks to those time penalties, but Saint most certainly can. He is half a second behind and closing the gap, or at least trying to. Nortec gets by Perks. Hunger gets by Wingett. Perks gets by Nortec. Got battles up and down. Keep our eyes at the front, though. Saint, is there anything he can do as Duval retires from the session, understandably from his point of view? Oh, the audio. Gee whiz, Codemasters. Round turn 9. Onto the back straight away. 8.5 tenths a gap. Look, I think Vermouth's got this unless he makes a mistake. That's the only thing that will prevent Vermouth from winning this race, is if he makes a mistake. Mindset has Silkweaver behind. 3/10 is the gap. Schulz gets a penalty. 3 seconds are next to his name, but he's got a big enough gap. Back to Kryptonic. He should be able to hang on to P7. Weaver moves through into third. Half a second is the gap. Saint closing in. It's not enough, though. Into turn 1. Through turn 2. Round the sweeper at turn 3. Vermouth doesn't have any battery left. He only has 2%. So does Saint. Don't need tyres now. Don't need telemetry. It's all about who's willing to push the hardest, who can defend the best. Oh, Vermouth gets a tidy run out of turn 5. Saint loses ground as we head up the hill, round turn 7 and around turn 8. Winger briefly brings out yellow flags. No matter, he's down in 13th position and that's where he should stay. Saint awfully wide there at turn 9. He closes the gap, but again it's not enough. So it's down to Vermouth then, and he makes a mistake! Saint closes in. 2.5 tenths is the gap. Another wiggle from Vermouth. 2 corners left. Through 13 for the final time. And around turn 14, we have an incident at turn 10, but no matter. Vermouth will hang on. Just and only just. He wins the Spanish Grand Prix by half a second to Saint, with Silkweaver completing the podium places in third. Blade fourth. Bad Fast rounding out the top 5 with the 6 seconds worth of penalties. Mindset drops to P6. And you have Schulz, Kryptonic, Hunger, and Red Devil rounding out the top 10. What a finish. Vermouth almost completely bottled it with only a sector to go. But thankfully he was able to keep the car on the racetrack and hang on to the lead. Oh, what fun. What fun. Secure. He's taking his sweet time crossing the line. There we go. Eventually got there. Oh. What a fascinating race that was. Kryptonic driver of the day. Fair play after crashing out during qualifying, starting towards the back, finished inside of the points. Here are your top three for the Spanish Grand Prix. Vermeulen, your race winner. Half a second the gap between P1 and 2. Saint, he'd be happy with P2. Silkweaver on the podium again in P3. Alright, the unofficial results of the Spanish Grand Prix. Vermeulen is your race winner with fastest lap as well. A full complement of points for him with Saint home in P2. Silkweaver completing the podium places in 3rd. Electric Blade P4, followed by Bad Fast in 5th, then Mindset in P6. He had a fantastic debut. If it weren't for those 6 seconds worth of penalties, he would have easily finished in the top 5. Schulz P7, Kryptonic from 14th position finishes 8th. Hunger P9. He finishes in the points, that's the main thing. But yeah, he was set for a top 5 as well. Red Devil, P10, our final point scorer. Outside of the points, we have Nortec, Wing It, and Secure the Perks. Mr. Duval retiring, a few laps to go. The Future retiring as well. Can Tizzle with a huge shunt at turn 3, bringing out the second safety car of the race, and Zotic bringing out the very first safety car of the race. Oh, after his shunt at the final corner. Man, that was something. That was truly, truly something. Those two safety cars playing an important part in the story of that race. And as a result, we ended up getting a bit of a classic here at Barcelona. It just shows you how much better the circuit is without that ruddy chicane. That chicane at the end of the racetrack spoiled the flow of Barcelona quite a lot. But now with those final 2 flat-out bits, the action just goes up. And we see how many times drivers try and overtake into turn 1 now. So many times throughout that stream, we're flicking to drivers going down the inside into 1 with the help of DRS, potentially overtaking 2 cars into there, because that's how strong it is. And qualifying incredibly fast, incredibly intense. No, that was a good race. Really good race. But I think, folks, that will wrap up everything. Congratulations as well to our top 3 again. Well done to Vermeulen on winning the Spanish Grand Prix. But it's now time to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. And we'll see you next week for round 4 of the AM1 Championship at Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. This is going to be a lot of fun next week. COTA's always an interesting round, regardless of league. So I'm looking forward to next week. But until next time, it's goodbye.